like
it is Wednesday, and we're here to enjoy each other and to talk and to grow and to learn from one another. So, on this beautiful day in Toronto, I welcome you all. And I do have a question, but 1 minute. Nicole, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. A little hot outside here in South Carolina, but I'm getting through it, drinking lots of water and kind of wishing for that dry heat of Arizona at the moment.
Well, I live for this all year round, so you'll never hear me complain about the warmth.
Yeah.
And so my question is to you today, is confidence something we learn, or is it something that we're brought in on, that power that we have within? Is it just something that, it's in our genes, or is it something that has to be taught to us as we're living and growing in our lives? This is something we're going to be tapping into today, because Nicole, tell us about what our guest is up to today.
Well, first of all, I want to know how many people out there would like to do a TED Talk, TEDx talk. I know I would. So I'm really excited about our guest today, Glenda, because she's going to talk to us about that. But her bio is
I don't know. Maybe the universe wanted us to come back in again. I don't know. That was really weird because
we've never had that happen, have we?
No, never. So, okay, you know what? I believe in flowing and going and just allowing things to happen, because why? I love it.
Whatever that was, let's roll with it. We've got an amazing guest today, and I can't wait to talk to her. She is a world-class keynote speaker. She's a CEO. She is a thought leader and author specializing in the transformational power of confidence. And I think that's something that many of us have struggled with over the years. So I can't wait to hear about that. And here's the part that I'm really excited about. She has also accepted her first TED Talk in the UK for 2024. So with that, let's welcome Tara LaFon Gooch.
Hello. Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm fabulous, ladies. Thank you for having me on the show today. It's an honor.
I am so excited.
So
Linda, where do we start with this gal? Her bio was amazing. So what do you think we should start with today? Save the best for last, or
now let's go in for the kill, like TED Talk. Really? I love it. Tell us. Where did this start? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah. So, gosh, if you would have told me even a year ago that I would be doing this, I would have thought, oh, that's crazy. That's for other people, right? I think a lot of us think that, those kind of things, but the opportunity just presented itself to me just less than 2 months ago. And someone told me that I had a TED-worthy idea, and I had never considered it before. And I just kind of ran with it. And I said, well, if one person thinks I have a good TED idea, maybe an organizer would. So that kind of led me down that rabbit hole of how can I take thought leadership. I've got a book coming out. I try to show up as a thought leader on social media. It's really important to me. But how can I create it and develop maximum impact and influence? And that was the TED stage. So it was actually a natural transition to me. But sometimes it just takes that one person that has a vote of confidence in you to help see your fullest potential.
And not
Wow.
everybody does see our full potential. Like we don't see our own potential most of the times, right? It's usually somebody from the outside looking in.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so glad to have that interaction with that person that day. It changed the trajectory of my life. And that's another proof that could be a whole episode on of its own, but the importance of just showing up, right? Because we never know what kind of conversations that we're going to have with people who we're going to meet, where they're going to take us down
Yeah.
if we don't show up. So I showed up that day, and it's taken a transformative event and really changed my life.
Wow. Can you share with us what your TED Talk is going to be about, or do you have to keep that quiet until you air?
Yeah, so I have to keep it kind of quiet, but
Okay.
it's based on my book, and it's based on the foundational element to build confidence, which I talk about in my book, which is gratitude.
Ooh.
Love it.
And
Yeah.
we both do. That's one of the things, and I always say this, no matter where I'm at, what I'm doing in the morning when I wake up, I always wake up in gratitude, just for everything, for that first
Yes,
breath, for just, being healthy, being alive. And I think gratitude can change your trajectory also.
Totally.
100%, absolutely, and that's why it's my first foundational element to build confidence because honestly, it's the foundation of all success.
I
Very
think
true.
it's and also it's the what you build on. It's the start of your foundation.
Yeah.
So building on with gratitude keeps you strong, positive, a great outlook. And, just like Nicole said, every morning to start your day with a form of gratitude. For me, yeah, it's another day that I've woken up and I can step on my own 2 feet. And
Absolutely.
that is huge. And we all have to take a really, really close look at ourselves of being able to touch base with that real reality. And that's really what life is, isn't it?
Absolutely. So true. And, gratitude, for that journey of the past that, a lot of us have had. It's life's not easy, right? But we have things that come up in our lives and they're lessons, not life sentences, right? So taking, an appreciation for the gratitude of things that have happened to us, events, people, places, traumas, whatever it is, and learning that there was a lesson in all that and how can we use that lesson to better our lives but also create impact to help other people. I think that's really fundamental and helps grow our confidence as well because we realize that how much we actually have to give.
Absolutely. And as I look back on, starting with the divorce and everything I went through, it was a decade of change and healing. But as I look back, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because it brought me to where I'm at now and the people that I'm with and the healing that I help people with. And truly, I wouldn't have ever done that had I not been hurt myself. So
Yep.
I look back as in gratitude for the lesson.
Yep. It's so pivotal, right? When you can look back at that and you realize all those lessons were just leading you up to the mission that you're supposed to deliver to mankind. And that's really how I look at it. I look at it as, we talked about thought leadership, but it's based on authenticity, it's based on vulnerability. I do want to say that. Sometimes, our background, what we've been through is hard. Sometimes we don't want to talk about it. But ultimately, does it help somebody else? Does it add value to somebody else's life? Does it create impact? Does it change somebody? Can it save someone's life?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we talk about life changing things all the time. What about life saving things? Let's talk about
Ooh,
that
I
too.
like that. Yeah, I like that. And it's true because, if we can let people in where we have fallen, it might stop them from having that same mistake or that fall that sometimes it takes a while to come up from it. It lessons happen. We're all going to. I just said yesterday to somebody, life isn't about that it's a clear sail. It's about the hills and the valleys and how we manage to get through them at the time. So if we can get through it with an idea of being grateful for what we have learned and finding the lessons, and that's the key part of it. When I've had things, I remember years ago when my dad passed away, this is going back many years, I kept on sitting back and saying, what is the lesson here? What do I need to learn? Because I couldn't find any positiveness in that at all. And, it's so important that we sit back and we look at that within ourselves to find what we can learn, what it's there to teach us. And, many of us have lost loved ones and have gone through some really hard times. But it's not even just the lessons, it's how we have coped, that we have come through from it as well.
Absolutely. And, in the beginning, you guys asked me, or just were pondering out loud, is confidence something we're born with? Is it something that we develop over time? And there's a couple schools of thought out there, but my personal opinion is that we're born with confidence. I've never personally met a toddler that wasn't confident in their ability to walk. Have you guys? When they fall, they get right back up. It's natural, it's innate. Nobody tells them that, oh, you walking is not for you, right? Have you ever met a toddler that fell and said, well, I guess it's not for me?
I'm done.
Right, I'm done.
Yeah, I'll just take a stroller.
That's right. All those things work to build confidence. So when we're toddlers, when we're growing, when we're children, we learn things, and those all build confidence in us, but it's already there. And I like to think of it as it exists as like a seed within us, and that seed has the potential to grow and become whatever we want it to be. So an apple seed, I talk about that in my book. If you have confidence within you the size of an apple seed, well, an apple seed, gosh, even smaller, it can form into a tree and produce more apples and more seeds and just multiply. So it does have a multiplication, just magnifying impact. You just need a little bit within you, and everyone has a little bit because we're born with it.
Yeah.
It's like the steam engine, as it keeps going, it gets faster and faster. And as a child, we start out with it. But what happens along the venture is somebody ends up knocking that child down, pushing that child down, telling them they're not smart enough, they're not capable, be quiet, you ask too many questions, all of those things. And that's where the confidence starts to shake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for some people, it can go into your whole life, right? Especially as women, we go into the workforce and we're in our careers, and we find it's kind of scary to ask for a raise, ask for a salary. We sometimes put up with toxic work environments, toxic leadership. We give, 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 give. And then what do we have at the end of the day, right? We're not satisfied. We're not happy. We're not confident. So these things can start in childhood and adolescence, and then absolutely just magnify if they're unaddressed throughout adulthood. And it can lead us to not make the amount of money that we need to make, that we're deserving of, just because we're lacking confidence. So that's something that I want to help people develop, is a method and a strategy to develop confidence and to step into the best version of yourself. Because if you can do that, you're going to live your fullest life.
So, Tara, where did this all start from? Because were you a woman who lacked confidence at some point in your life?
I'm raising both hands because yes, right? So I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Oh, well, we're going to be vulnerable. That's
Yes.
the whole idea. How do we teach others? It's from where we have dropped or where we have, we've all been there. And I love being able to show people that who I am today certainly wasn't who I was 30 years ago.
Me either. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So give us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, so, I've suffered from lack of confidence my entire life. I didn't grow up in the best home environment. I talk about this in my book. My book's very raw, but I had a father he was an alcoholic. He was not around. I'm the youngest of 5 from a single mother. Didn't grow up in great circumstances. So I never felt confident. And even in elementary school, I was incorrectly diagnosed with a learning disability because I was actually so unconfident that I could
Mm.
not speak at all in class. So, and it's hard to imagine this now because I'm a keynote speaker, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I literally, if the teacher were to call on me, my voice would close, I would start sweating, and I would even cry and run to the bathroom. I couldn't do it. That's how little confidence I had. And it carried with me throughout my adult life, and it would unaddressed. And I have an MBA. I'm highly educated, but I never made as much money as my peers. I couldn't stand in front of and conduct a meeting, for heaven's sake. So it held me back, right?
Yeah.
And it all came kind of to this culmination in 2022 when I decided to jump into entrepreneurship full time. And I believed in myself so little that I didn't think I had a purpose.
Wow.
That when I read your bio, obviously, it's almost as if it's the antithesis of what you're talking about, and
Mm.
and to do it from 2022 to 2023, what you've accomplished in such a short time, that's amazing. And now you're going to do a TED talk.
Yeah.
The little girl who cried because she didn't want to talk in class.
Yep. And it took a while to build up confidence, right? But that's the thing. It was a seed within me that needed to, just like any seed. Seeds, what do they need? They need to be cultivated. They need to be
Yes.
nurtured. They need to be taken care for. And when they're given all the right, ingredients, guess what? That seed can absolutely turn into a tree, right? And
Yeah.
that whole, running away from your purpose thing, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Speaking was my biggest fear, but just this year, literally this year, I decided, what's so hard about it? Let's see. And I delivered my first keynote, and I haven't looked back since. So that thing that was really scary was actually a part of my purpose. And to feel like I had no voice my entire life, and then to go and deliver a speech that will eventually be seen by millions of people and be part of my legacy. That's what I want to inspire other people to do. Just that in
Yeah.
a very short amount of time.
That's amazing. And you said your daughter was 7.
Yes,
So what are you instilling in her now that she'll never have those issues when she's in school or when she's older? How are you conveying to her how to have that confidence?
absolutely. And she was part of my inspiration for developing confidence.
Sure.
I realized that, what I went through as a child, that was a cycle, right? So we know poverty is a cycle. We know that alcoholism can be a cycle. But here's another thing that's a cycle that nobody talks about: confidence. My mom didn't have confidence. She had zero. So she put up with the worst circumstances because she didn't believe she was worthy and deserving of more. So I knew that that was a confidence issue and a cycle. And I started to see it within myself. And I said, she deserves more. And so do I. And it's time to break this cycle. And it's time to teach her something different.
Did you see this as a child?
Yes,
Because I'm amazed at as what we pick up when we are children.
absolutely.
Right? We see things, we don't always understand them or know how to label them, but it's sort of
Mhm.
something that sort of starts to tweak us. That knowing that we have to sort of, dive into a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, I noticed my mom as a child, she would, wouldn't stand up for herself. She tolerated, again, less than favorable circumstances, things that she was not deserving of. But as a child, when you see that, you naturally take on, I feel like, the behaviors of your parents. And, a lot of these are, on a very much a subconscious level. But I started to realize that I was just manifesting something that I had seen and that it wasn't actually internally within me. So, how can I get rid of that and remove myself from that and break free? And that's exactly what I set out to do in 2022, was to stop that cycle and end it once and for all, and actually have a life, my life, the way I wanted to live it, not by somebody else's standards.
Well,
Wow.
I'm really impressed by to pack, to push through.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by how, I mean, in a year,
Yeah.
some people it takes, if they can ever reach it, years and years and years of stepping into their own essence, their own truth. Some just never do it. My mother never did. And she wasn't very confident, but she hit it with sarcasm and
Hmm.
getting the, making fun or talking about the other person before they talked about her.
Yep.
And so I saw that, and I didn't like that, but she was really just in a protective mode of who she was because she wasn't confident. So it kind of, it crosses so many lines in a different way. And when you talk about from your mom and then in a year, that's incredible.
It's definitely possible, right? And that's the great thing about this, and that's what I want to really emphasize, is that the bridge from failure to success is actually incredibly short. We think about it as all of these steps. I've got to do all these things. That's why I wrote a 5-step book and made it very simple. And I followed these steps. This is how I gained confidence. And I realized that as it was, working for me, and I was getting success, that I had something here. And I just decided to start writing one weekend, and I didn't stop, because I felt like this was life saving information, because I remember what it was like to not feel like I had a purpose. I remember what it was like to feel that my life was so meaningless, that I had no value. What? Now I think about that. Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I have so much value, so much to give, right? But I had to step out of my comfort zone and into the, vulnerability area and tell people about my story. And once I did, it was a total game changer. And if I wouldn't have shared my story and been vulnerable and authentic, I wouldn't have written this book. I wouldn't be a thought leader, and I wouldn't have landed a TED Talk. So if that's not inspiration enough for you to step out of your comfort zone, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I'm just very impressed with all of that. That's amazing.
So Tara, can you give us some of your steps to help those that are struggling with having their own confidence? Can you help walk
Absolutely.
us through?
Yeah, it's a 5-step method. So my book is called How to Grasp Confidence and Own Your Power. And GRASP is, the acronym stands for gratitude, responsibility, action, sight, and purpose.
Ooh, I like
Mm,
Simple
I
5
like that
steps,
too.
but I take the reader through how I got to these 5 steps, and why they're impactful. So the foundation is gratitude, but then it's a responsibility mindset, right? A responsibility mindset says that when feelings of imposter syndrome or negative beliefs or self doubt surface, that we go back to that gratitude and have the responsibility then and that agency to know that those are false beliefs. Now we have to put in the action, right? You can't, there's no amount of thinking that will replace any amount of doing. So we have to put in the work. What does that look like? Well, how does the most successful, confident version of yourself look like? When you really visualize that and get granular of what that looks like, who that woman is or who that man is, then you start to become that person. What do they dress like? Do they work out? Then you start doing those things. You start doing those activities that lead you to that, right? To that achievement of that visualization. And then, so that's the sight aspect. And then the last is purpose. We have to be aligned with our purpose of why we're on this earth. And no two people are the same. No two of us have the same story. No two of us have had the same journeys. But when we're aligned with purpose, we become unstoppably confident because it really is the road that takes you to wherever you want to go in life. When I aligned with my purpose, it got me to this point, to speaking on TED, to writing this book. And in just March of 2022, I didn't want to live anymore. And now here I am, aligned with my purpose. And it's all because I wasn't aligned with my purpose. I was living somebody else's version of success.
Wow.
And then that just goes to show you how truly important we come with this mission.
Yeah.
And when we finally find it, it's like you're a whole different person. And just that feeling of going from worthless to all of a sudden knowing your path, knowing you, knowing your essence, knowing you're important in a year,
Yeah.
a little over a year. I'm just like, because it's taken me a lot longer than that. I will be very candid and vulnerable about that. Being married and kind of being suppressed for a very long time, and knowing I wanted more, knowing where I should be, but it took me a lot longer than a year. So congratulations, that's amazing.
Yeah. By the time I take the TED stage in January, it'll be 15 months from
Wow.
that lowest point to achieving an incredible goal.
Oh,
Incredible goal.
it's incredible for the person with the most confidence to achieve that, but with not having confidence to be on that stage, that's really
Yep.
that's in a whole different category.
Yep. Well, I'm confident now, so nothing's gonna stop me. So,
Yeah, I know. I can tell by talking to you. It's like you're
yeah,
just looking for the next thing because now you're limitless.
that's right.
Nothing's holding you back.
That's right. And that's literally when you tap into this confidence, I consider it a high vibration, right? So we talk about
Yeah.
high vibrational elements all the time. Joy is a high vibration, gratitude, of course, love. But
Hmm.
nobody talks about confidence being a high vibration, but you can feel when somebody is confident. They exude a different set of vibes than other
Yeah.
people. It's the power of gravitation. It's
Hmm.
magnetism. When you can tap into that high vibration of confidence, watch as the opportunities start coming to you. I can't go a week now without getting some partnership opportunity, some amazing like speech or something else. And it's all because I'm confident, and it's that power of gravitation, literally
Yeah.
magnetism.
Yes. It's you're just sucking it right to you.
I love it. And I believe that, it's how you show up in life, just like you're
Yeah.
saying, if the woman who walks in, or the man that slouches their shoulders and head is held low, and, they can't have that eye contact with others, that person sort of fades into the walls, into the woodwork type of thing. And then when you have the woman who can just show who she is by her shoulders being strong, by standing with her head held up high, and I say woman, but I mean men and women, because just as important it is for a woman to show up well, it is just as important for a man. And also of putting yourself together, all of these things build and show who you are, because when you don't have the confidence, you also don't dress yourself accordingly.
Yes, that's so key. It's and 90% of our human communication is nonverbal, right? So I feel like a lot of people are very concerned with what to say, but really it's how you come across too. So how you come across, what you dress, how you present yourself, wear clothes. Don't pay attention to fads and trends.
No.
Wear something that makes you feel confident. For me, it's red lipstick.
Ooh,
Oh, I
I
love it.
love it, right?
I do too. Because
I
I'm
love
not
it.
brave enough. I'm not brave enough for red.
Oh, you will be. You just haven't
Okay.
we haven't hung out enough yet, but no,
Okay.
I'll get
Okay.
you on red lipstick.
When I get that red lipstick on, you and I are going to go out. No, I'll find you in North Carolina.
That's right. But yeah, for me, it's red lipstick. And I refused for anybody to ignore me anymore. So how can I be, right? How can I show up? And for me, it's red lipstick. I wear it every day. And it's now a part of my brand. People expect it. And when I forget to wear it, people are like, "Are you okay?"
Are you
So
sick?
that's right. You must be sick.
Can you still make eye contact?
But
Oh,
find those elements that make you feel confident, that make you feel energized, that make you feel that magnetism, and rock it. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Just pay attention to how it makes you feel.
That is really the key of it all, is what makes you feel like you're vibrant
Yes.
coming through, right? That vibrance. And again, that's what we show up as, right? It's the energies that we give off. But when we're feeling great and looking great, and it doesn't matter whether you're 10 pounds overweight, like let's get real now. It
Right.
doesn't matter. You know what? My very first job that she turned into being a mentor to me. And I was just a young girl starting out, and she was a woman who had a high level in business, and she was a very large woman, but she dressed incredibly, and she wore hats, and the way she carried herself and her clothes and how she came across, any man, any person walking by her would just drop, because she had her era of who she was just overtook everything. So when I hear people say, well, I can't wear this, you got to wear what makes you feel good. So you're not pulling at yourself. There's nothing worse than seeing a person who's not wearing something that they're comfortable in, but something that makes you feel that power within.
It's so key. Bring it out, because it's within all of us. We all have, again, that potential. And I just hope anybody hearing this that's struggling with confidence realizes that they have it all within them, that potential. And just align with the things. Just pay attention. Start paying attention to what makes you feel confident, what makes you not feel confident. If you're hanging around a certain group of people who are not making you feel good about yourself, who are dragging you down, who are not making you feel confident, you're hanging around the wrong people. Start
Right.
hanging around your environment's so important. Our
yes.
self-beliefs, our inner dialogue is so important.
Yeah.
Our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, right? If we're saying all of these, it's internalizing it, and we start to have this as a belief system that's really what the reality, and it's not. So pay attention to your environment, but also pay attention to the thoughts within this environment here, because
Yes.
honestly, that is so fundamental to growth.
Yeah. So true.
I love that.
So do you ever have a time when you start, since you've been on your new journey now, where you sort of question yourself, or that feeling of maybe I'm not as good?
Oh, I think we all,
That comes
yeah.
in?
I think that's normal. I would be I wouldn't be truthful if there's fleeting thoughts that come into my mind, and then I remind myself of 10 things that counteract all and
Ah,
counter, yes.
That's what was my
And
next question.
I
Yeah.
so
mean,
you have a strategy, don't you?
it's an absolute strategy, and I go back to this method. And the thing about this method is it's not, you don't just go through the method, okay, I'm going to learn gratitude, I'm going to learn responsibility mindset, dot dot dot. There are days where I have to go through the entire method again and again, right? We're imperfect. Guess what? It happens to all of us. But this is a tool to help counteract those things, because negativity is all around us, right? But this helps you tunnel vision and stay focused on that purpose, that sight, and that goal. Otherwise, those negative thoughts will creep in and they'll start to manifest. Every time they do, and writing this book, I even had the thought, gosh, what if nobody likes it? You know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? I'm not doing this so people like it. I'm doing this to change lives.
And
And I
even
know that
writing a
it'll
book is
change lives.
freeing.
Do it.
Writing a book frees you and gives you confidence too.
Yes.
It was something I never thought I could do. And it's like, I look at my first one to my last one, and there's a huge difference. But, you know, I was told I couldn't do something like that. And I
Mhm.
did it. Done it 5 times now.
Congratulations. That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, I don't rub it in anyone's face, but I could. No,
You should.
but I could if I wanted.
Yep. But I think it's totally normal. I talk to executives from all over the world all the time, and they have imposter syndrome too. And these are people that are C-suite people. I've talked to C-suite people from Fortune 500 companies. They have imposter syndrome. So it can happen to literally anybody. Just know that it's normal, that these are fleeting thoughts and they're not anchored in reality. And then just name off a couple of accomplishments that counteract all of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And when you talk about this imposter syndrome for people we would never suspect of having it, it just goes to show you inside each of us sometimes that we don't see everything because it's on the inside, and it comes out on the outside as something that maybe is not their truth. And you can usually detect that too when the imposter syndrome is showing up. At least I can, maybe because of being an empath. But you can feel the vibration is different from yours with your truth. Their vibration is a little bit different.
Yes, fellow empath here.
Oh,
I
I
hear you.
figured you were.
I think
Yeah,
we find each other.
we do.
It would be helpful if we had T-shirts that said, "Hi, I'm an empath." But we
I
almost don't even need it because we
Yeah,
can
I was going to
feel.
say we could have them, but we know each other. We're drawn to each other. It's really amazing right now too, because with energy so high and vibration accelerating, it's like we're finding each other right and left, and it's a beautiful thing.
I love that.
I'm finding, that you're finding your people, and those are the ones that I'm really, really comfortable with, not the ones with the imposter syndrome that had to drive the Mercedes, or they had to live in this, we called them McMansions. And the games that were played are no longer necessary.
That's right. Absolutely. I like how you said it, that I feel like that's true too. We're kind of collectively going into a higher vibration.
We are.
And people are becoming aware now, and the impact is felt. I can feel it. It's a reverberation, right?
The
Um,
changes, it's changing.
yeah,
It's a very exciting time to be alive, because truly not only are we changing, the earth is changing, and we're changing with it. And so the great awakening, we are right here in the big middle of it. So you
right.
woke up to you.
yeah,
Yeah, I just came home.
yeah,
And
exactly. You're feeling comfortable in your own skin. And that's such a way that if we can empower the younger generation to be more empowered in themselves, then that can change so much of what's going on in society right now. And I think that's one of the greatest things as today, as I see it, as a woman, as a coach, as a mother, is to help others to feeling that strength in themselves so that they want to be able to do what, you know, that hidden talent that people try to walk away from, that, from what they have within them because they're afraid of what everybody else is going to say. So they hide it. It's like being under the covers. It's
Yeah.
time to come out now from under the covers.
It is. That's so true. So true. Come out, live your best life. Don't live in fear. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes your biggest fears are part of your purpose. And, what's the worst that can happen, right? Go
Right.
tackle it, see what it's all about, right? But I found that this is so true, just, that it doesn't have to be leaps and bounds. And again, my story took place, in the last 12, 15 months or so, but just trying to improve a little bit every day. And even if it's just 1% getting to closer to that confident version of you, what they look like, just small measures. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It just takes consistency, and deep, profound gratitude for that journey all along the way. And then you're going to
Yes.
look back in a couple months and say, I'm not even recognizable anymore.
And it's those tiny steps that actually really add up. So we have to learn. I'm the one, that's how I coach. It's all by step by step.
Yep.
We don't need huge leaps. If we can just continuously move forward, then we're doing a great job.
Yep. I agree. 1%. That's all I sought to do because, at that time in 2022, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. I,
Wow.
I couldn't do much more than 1%.
Yeah.
I couldn't, but I did do 1%. And now here I am today. And guess what? 37 times improved because I've practiced it over the course of a year. So, 1% times 365 is about 37 times.
Woo. Yeah.
So
Love that.
you actually aren't recognizable anymore. You're actually a completely different person and you just have to show up.
Have you noticed how, and this is what I've noticed with myself after the healing and after, the gratitude, do you find yourself looking at yourself and you look different, don't you?
Absolutely. I look so different. I don't recognize my old self. And
Yeah.
I look, even though I'm older now,
You look younger, don't you?
I look younger. I look younger and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I look pretty good." I just turned 39. I just turned
You're
39.
nice.
She's a baby.
Shy
She's
of
a baby.
I know that's what everybody says. But you know how it is when you're 39 and you're just about 40. But I wouldn't I wouldn't go back. I look at
No.
pictures of when I was 25, I look better now.
I,
It's incredible. It's what fearlessness does, what confidence does, what
happiness within does.
happiness.
Yay.
Yeah.
Purpose,
All of
Right.
that makes a
gratitude.
huge.
It's like a big red ball that just starts shining, and we come out from within. It's just a beautiful thing. It's the butterfly. It's the cocoon that all of a sudden we've formed into this beautiful butterfly.
Yeah. It's a
And you
Yes.
are a
metamorphosis.
beautiful butterfly. I can tell you that. Look at you
Oh,
shine. You shine. I love watching women and people shining. That's probably one of my beautifully most incredible things that I love in the world is watching people shine.
I
yeah.
know. And having, having that attitude, Glinda, and I was talking about this earlier, is there's so much to go around.
Oh,
There's enough clients, there's enough work, there's enough everything. And so when all of us, I know, are very heartfelt leaders, heartfelt people led by our heart, it just makes such a difference in the world, because with our rising vibration from working from our hearts, people are going to feel just that little something there, and they're going to want to emulate it, or I want what she has. Well, I'd like to be that way. And it's just that they can feel that something, that pull, that draw of what your essence is showing them. And there's plenty to go around.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of money, there's no shortage of opportunity. The only limitations we create are in our own minds. right? So
Yeah.
that's a big one. I think abundance is all around us constantly. We create the limitations. So
Yeah.
let's stop creating the limitations and let's be limitless and see how much more fulfilled and more happy our lives are, right? It's so key. It's all within us. All the answers are right within us all the
Everything.
time.
Yeah. We came with them. We
Yes,
just forgot them. We come here, we forget, we relearn. It's just that's what it is here. We come to forget and redo ourselves and find ourselves and find who we are and then do good work.
that's right. And learn the lessons along the way, right? And try
Yes.
not to repeat them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I always say. It's not failure, it's just feedback. What did you learn from it? Let's move on.
That's right. I love that. And I love how you mentioned about being heart centered too. That's so important for me. I'm not for everyone. I don't want to be for everyone. I want to be for the right ones. And I can only be for the right ones if I'm grounded within myself, if my vibration's high, if my purpose is aligned with why I'm supposed to be, why I'm here on this earth, if my heart is in the right place, right? Those are the
Hmm.
type of people I attract. And when you do that, and it's only possible by showing up as your authentic self.
Absolutely.
But that takes courage.
It does. And sometimes you forget who you are. And it's like just getting back almost to the basics. Okay, who was I 10 years ago? Who am I now? And the metamorphosis can continue as you continue. You don't want to be stagnant. You want to keep growing. You want to keep learning. You want to keep helping. So that it just becomes this little trail that becomes more and more spectacular.
So I will say that this metamorphosis that we're talking about for me started really because I didn't want to be the same next year that I was right then. And I feel like when your fear of staying the same,
It's true.
starts to outweigh your fear of failure and rejection and of ridicule, then you can go to that next level of success in life. So don't have a fear of failure, have a fear of staying the same and watch you change along that way.
And let's put it out there as well. We also, the fact that you had the fear of staying the same, it's because you actually were truthful to yourself. And so many people, and I was there at one point in my life, so I can talk because, I lied to myself.
Mhm.
So, at some points in my life, I spent my time lying to myself. And it wasn't only until one day when I hit my all time lowest point is when I really started to become aware of my feelings, of what I was doing to myself, how I was lying to me. I was lying to at that point, my children. And it was my big awakening that I didn't have my power. I blew my power away. I allowed somebody else to do that. So, we all have to start by, and at some points, it just like you're saying, some points it is about getting to your lowest low before you knock it out and say, I can't take this anymore. And that's what it sounds like you were at that point.
Absolutely. That's how my book starts, so I'll just divulge that. It starts at my absolute lowest point. So I take the reader right there, and it was March 16th, 2022,
Wow.
316. Total coincidence. Didn't even put that together until literally a year later. But I opened the blinds to my bedroom window and looked at the blue sky for what I thought was the last time.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
I've got shivers right now. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially of the fact of, and we all know as a mom, to even think those thoughts. And I know I had those dark thoughts too when my kids were very young. And now I think, and I did then, that was the only thing that kept me going, was thinking of what would happen to my kids if something happened to me.
Yep. So hopefully this book is going to save some moms out there that are
Yeah.
struggling. But it'll save some families.
It's
Oh,
it's a big Yeah. I
Yeah.
love
it
it.
is.
I really just I again I didn't write this. I wrote it as just, something I started on the weekend, but then it evolved into a book and a method of how to live a better life. But it's not just one. I think it's going to impact millions of people because it's going to impact families too. Not just the generational cycle of confidence like we talked about, but actually saving people's lives. And if they can just read this book, they'll see that whatever they're going through at that moment is just temporary. Just keep pushing, follow the steps, and things will happen as they should.
And it's true. If we just by, believing that if you just go, it's one step at a time, one step to knowing that tomorrow can be a better day than today. When you have that thought in your mind of believing, okay, today's a crummy day, but I'm going to make it till tomorrow. It can change everything. Just that one moment.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Tara,
powerful.
wow.
that I get goosebumps too when I think about that, especially what Glenda said, being the mom, that's like the antithesis of what should be.
Yep.
And man, your story is powerful.
Well, we
And
think about there's so many people that, oh, I just never saw that coming, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade.
yeah.
Um, I can't recall her name right now, but she was Miss America.
Mm,
These people died
she
by
jumped off the building. Yeah.
jumped off. Talk about not having a hope in the world. That is
Oh,
somebody that doesn't have a backup. I mean, so we think about all these people that are successful and rich and happy, and on the outside I looked totally like there was no problem, but deep within me there was a struggle and it was darkness, and I didn't tell anybody.
yeah.
Well, the shame and I understand
Yep.
the shame of being there because, there are people that, oh, you're going to be fine. I remember going through a very deep, dark, horrible divorce. And as I tried to open up, I had more and more people closing doors. So I closed my mouth. And it was through all of that I found myself very isolated, and at a point where that's where the dark thoughts started coming from. And that's when afterwards, when I made it through, the first thought that had entered my mind is nobody should have to go through this alone. Nobody has to be alone like I felt. And that's really the key is we need each other. And for
Yes.
you to put that into writing, I think, you know, really kudos to you, and what a beautiful thing that you have done for
Oh,
everybody. Thank you
thank you.
for
Thank
doing
you so much. I appreciate that. It's been a journey, right? But I want to help people, and I want to show them that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, that there is, like, your literally wildest dreams, crazy, can happen very quickly if you just have that seed of self-belief. And I think, faith, we talk about faith. Faith is a two-way street too.
Yeah, sure.
You know, the, all of the you think about the placebo effect even, right?
Yeah.
People that take placebos have faith and they believe that they've taken a medicine that's going to cure their ailment. Gratitude is the ultimate placebo. It heals within ourselves, and that's, again, it's another why it's a foundational element. You've got to heal, you've got to rewire your brain, you've got to form new beliefs. And you've got to make that transformation possible for yourself by laying that foundation of something that's bigger than you.
Wow. Very much so. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's part of my job. We're getting close to the end of our segment, and wow, we could go into this into such more depth because I really is something that people need to hear because there's so many people in where we're living in our days today that are feeling very isolated and alone. And these deep, dark secrets happen to be coming up far too much. And that breaks my heart to think of how many people are there alone because I was there at one point. So I do understand. But can you share with us something that would, a silver nugget that could help somebody who's maybe at that point in their life?
Hold on, first of all. This too shall pass, right? And we've heard that this too shall pass. What does that mean? Listen, at my lowest point, I didn't think that anybody would miss me if I was gone. Literally. And now here I am. If you just see this story, I'm a real person. You can look me up on social media. And by the way, if anybody is having these thoughts, my open door policy exists. So first off, I will say that and offer that invitation. Feel free to send me a message. I won't respond in judgment. It's just pure love. But because I want you to live your best life. But first off, I just want you to have gratitude. Write down a couple of things that you're grateful for in your present. Maybe a couple things that you had in your past that were tough, but what did you learn from that? And then write a couple things of who you want to become
Well,
and just string them together. And when you're feeling these low thoughts, go ahead and repeat those things as many times as it takes for you to believe that you have things in your life to be grateful for. Just start there.
beautiful. Thank you. And where can we get the book, your book?
Yeah, so it's available for pre-order on Amazon Kindle right now. And it'll come out on August 18th. It's available for pre-order. I'm going to have it on paperback and hardcover as well, and then in September, I'm hoping to have Audible done. So one
Oh,
thing after another, but yeah, I'm getting it out one by one.
good for you. Lovely. Well, I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
well, it isn't luck. It's the universe has heard you and knows that it is out there for you.
That's
I
right.
love it.
Thank you.
Nicole, can you give us our little tidbits for today?
I sure can. And I think this is probably one of the most in depth and important conversations we've had with the guest. And I think, when you talk about Robin Williams or, Bourdain, you see this happy face, and we never know what's going on behind that. And I think about all the younger kids, because I have a 20-year-old, and during junior high and high school can be vicious, and you really feel like no one's there for you. I mean, I can't. There was one time my daughter came home with one of the cards, the suicide hotline, and
Wow.
I was just like, talk to me now, talk to me now, what is going on? I said, I have your back for anything. I will give you what you need, but just, you have to talk to me. And I think that's one of the things that everybody should know or should have, is someone that will listen. Even you can't take it for granted that, oh, they're not going to do that, because it does happen. And there are some mean people out there, whether it be in junior high or whether it be at our age. They've got their own issues. But if you can, you telling people how you changed your life that quickly, I think this is such an important conversation. And I will tell you that I'm so happy to have you as a guest today.
Oh, that was a pleasure. And thank you, Laura, for gratitude first, she says. I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Well, all I have to say is that this is a discussion that more families have to come together and discuss. Never take anything for granted. We live a very busy world, and because of social media has its bonuses, but it's also having a lot of drawbacks, because what's happening is a lot of our younger people and older people and everybody all around is so involved in this thing that they call it a phone, which is supposed to open communications, and in some respects it's actually closed communications. So, reach out. We're here also, as, and we've said it before, you know, Nicole, myself, and now Tara, we're all here to be there for you. You're not in a world where you're by yourself. For me, it's always been something of being there for others. And that's what makes the world a better world. So reach out if you're having any thoughts, if you're feeling the fact that your world is closed down. We've all been through that, and we know that the day will change, but sometimes you just need a little friend on the day that it's happening. And that's what we're all about. So if you have watched this and we ask you to tag somebody who you might feel might help them, please do share this around. It's really all about this type of information is just so important for one another to hear that these days do change, but sometimes it can take a little while. And you know what? The sun will come up to shine again, but in the meantime, reach out. There's love all around you.
Yep.
Thank you all for
Beautiful.
coming
Yes.
today and talking to us. We love you all. Thank you.